They told him Silverstone would be a celebration. Instead, it became a warning shot fired in broad daylight. Hamilton didn't flinch. He spun, and in that spin, Ferrari's hidden truth surfaced. Not spoken, but exposed by sheer loss of control. As the SF-25 snapped loose under the rain, millions watched a legend fighting not just the circuit, but a car that refused to yield. "It's the most difficult car I've ever driven in these conditions," he admitted. But the real story wasn't just the slippery track or the damp tires. It was what happened next. Hamilton didn't retreat to the garage defeated. He returned armed, with a detailed, technical, and ruthless list of what Ferrari had to fix and what they needed to abandon behind closed doors. That list is already sending shockwaves, not only through the 2025 garage, but through the design rooms drafting 2020 SXS machine. Here's the twist. Silverstone wasn't a failure. It was the spark. Hamilton isn't reacting to the SF-25 anymore. He's rewriting it. Where the world saw P4, Hamilton saw raw data, lines of telemetry others were too cautious to question. In the debrief, he didn't blame anyone. Instead, he sketched solutions. He asked for sharper low-speed cornering. He demanded stability, not politely, but as a non-negotiable foundation. "That's what I want," he declared. But what shook the engineers wasn't what he said. It was what he left unsaid. Ferrari got the message loud and clear. "Your philosophy has a ceiling. My ambition doesn't." And while Leclerc voiced similar frustrations, his approach was softer. "We've got some upgrades coming," he offered, almost hopefully. Hamilton wasn't waiting for upgrades. He was already designing what would come next. That's the split. Same team, same car, but two very different roles. Leclerc adapts. Hamilton redefines. And in Maranello, that difference is starting to shift the center of gravity. The real question isn't whether Ferrari will listen. It's who they'll choose to build their future around. One name kept surfacing in the garage, Riccardo Adami. Loyal to Leclerc for years, now standing between two worlds, one fading, one surging. After Silverstone, the engineers braced for Hamilton's frustration. Instead, they got sharp clarity. Hamilton didn't rant. He demanded brake migration data, rear axle stability figures, and torque curves under wet conditions. And he watched carefully, who responded quickly, who hesitated, who avoided his gaze. Adami, caught in the middle, played it safe. Too safe. While Hamilton spoke about reshaping the car's DNA, Adami deferred a process. No bold calls, just silence. But silence doesn't fix rear instability. Silence doesn't build driver confidence. And inside a divided team, silence becomes a choice. Hamilton's voice is rising in these briefings. Adami's is fading, not through open conflict, but through quiet recalibration. To those paying close attention, it's obvious Ferrari isn't just wrestling with car balance. They're facing a leadership pivot. What looked like a routine spin, final stint, cold tires, damp track, actually revealed everything. It wasn't a rookie mistake. It was the car rebelling once more, just as it did in Shanghai, just as it did in Montreal. But here's the shift. Hamilton didn't blame rain or luck. He blamed the very philosophy behind the car. Ferrari built a machine for control, handed to a driver built for flow. Every wet lap turned into a tug-of-war between instinct and design dogma. And when the rear snapped loose, it wasn't only grip that vanished. It was the illusion this car could ever be tamed without real change. "I might sit with the people designing next year's car," he said afterward. "Not from curiosity, but out of urgency. This isn't just adapting anymore. It's about intervening." Hamilton didn't spin out of the fight. He spun deeper into it. And for anyone hoping to limit his influence, Silverstone should have been a wake-up call. What stunned the engineers wasn't just Hamilton's insight. It was his intent. He wasn't asking to be heard. He was asking to help shape the DNA of Ferrari's future. And for the first time, some inside Maranello realized they didn't just sign a champion. They got a strategist. Leclerc was once Ferrari's heartbeat, the golden prospect. But since Hamilton arrived, the team's orbit is shifting. Not through loud arguments, but through subtle recalibration. Leclerc still speaks as if he's the center, but fewer engineers gather around him. After Silverstone, Leclerc's feedback was acknowledged. Hamilton's was logged as action items. And when the next updates appear, they won't reflect Leclerc's wishes. They'll carry Hamilton's influence. Behind polished PR statements and smiles, this is the real power struggle. Because Formula One isn't just racing, it's politics and power. And at Ferrari, that power is moving quietly, not through headlines, but through data, simulation baselines, technical meetings. Piece by piece, one voice is becoming louder. Leclerc hasn't lost his place, but Hamilton has found his. In a team built on passion, the tide is shifting toward methodical precision. It's not war yet, but the front line is drawn, and the engineers already sense whose banner is rising at the center. Hamilton didn't leave Silverstone with a trophy. He left with something far more dangerous: control of the narrative. The spin turned into data. The rain turned into lessons. The SF-25 turned into a testbed for what comes next. Because while Ferrari talks about upgrades, Hamilton is planning evolution. And that unsettles the old guard. Not because he's wrong, but because he won't wait for their permission. Meanwhile, Leclerc feels the change. His words are cautious, his confidence guarded. He knows what it means when the team begins syncing to someone else's rhythm. This isn't about car balance anymore. It's about succession. And if Ferrari clings to comfort and nostalgia, they risk losing the only driver ready to engineer their future. The next race won't just test lap times. It'll test which vision Ferrari truly believes in. If Hamilton's vision prevails, the SF-26 won't be built from fear or ego, but from clarity. But the question remains, will Ferrari let evolution happen, or let the old guard pull them back into chaos? If you believe Hamilton should lead this transformation, drop a stand with Lewis in the comments. And if you want to see just how far this revolution can go, subscribe, because the battle for Ferrari's soul has only just begun.